we will start with a new concept called datagram. Now, first let's see, what do you mean by a datagram? A datagram is nothing but bundles of information. You might have learned it in your networking. Nothing but bundles of information. You call it to be datagram. Okay, I have a machine called A. I have a machine called B. I send some data in bundles, in packets. Okay, it is called a datagram. It is called a datagram packet. Now, you can even say it is an independent, self-contained message sent over a network. Okay, the main important things are the arrival time, and the content is not guaranteed. Okay, now this is what you call a UDP connection, or a connectionless communication. Okay, UDP. Now, why do you call it connectionless? Okay, I'll just talk about TCP/IP. Okay, let's say you have things called A and B. Okay, hope you remember in TCP how we did was, A first tells to B, I'm planning to make a connection with you. Can I make a connection with you? Okay, this is what happens in TCP/IP. A asks, can I make a connection? B tells, okay, make a connection. And then the connection is made. Only after the connection is made, you will send data. Okay, this is how TCP/IP works. In UDP, what happens is you will have an A, you will have a B. Okay, now let's say A is planning to send to B. Let's say A is planning to send a particular packet, or let's say this is a datagram. Okay, technically I call it a datagram packet. Okay, now imagine A is planning to send it to B. A will not make a connection with B. A will not make a connection with B. That is why it is called connectionless. A will not make a connection. Instead, in the packet itself, A will tell you have to go to B. And this packet, it travels through the network. It might reach, it might not reach. Okay. Now, A will have even another packet, a triangular packet. In that packet also, A will tell you have to go to B. No connection is made. In the packet itself, A is telling you have to go to B. And then B, this particular packet, it travels and reaches B. This square was sent first. Triangle was sent second. But sometimes, when it reaches the other end, triangle will reach first and this square will reach second. So these are the main differences between TCP and UDP. You call this connection oriented. You make a connection and then only you send the data. But in UDP, you don't at all have a concept called connection making. Okay, in your packet, you will tell to whom you have to go. And then the packet is dispersed into the network. And the packet on its own, it takes its own time, its own convenience, and it might reach B. At a particular time, you're not very sure how the packet order will be, and so on. That is why you say datagram is an independent, self-contained. Self-contained means, you will even have the address inside the packet. In the packet itself, you'll have the address, and then you will send it over the network. Arrival time, content, you have no guarantee of anything. You call it a connection-less communication. Okay, so you can just read this. You may not get it. Okay, this is the problem of UDP, problems of connectionless protocols. You may not get it, and the network really doesn't care whether you get it or not. Now let us see about something called a Datagram Socket class. Now, just like you had earlier server socket and socket, you have two things, datagram socket and datagram packet. Now, first, let's see about what do you mean a datagram socket? What do you mean by a datagram socket? Now, look here. I've got two things over here, A and B. Now, with the help of datagram socket, you will be making something called a connectionless socket. Now, it is through the socket that you will be sending packets. First, you have to create a socket, and then it is through the socket that you will be sending these packets or receiving the packets or whatever. Okay. Now, why do you have socket? As I was earlier telling you, you have socket so that you can send and receive your datagram packets. Okay. Now, before we go into datagram socket, let's see even what is a datagram packet. Now, a message that can be sent or received, you tell it is a datagram packet. Okay, so datagram packet is nothing but the message which you can send. The message like hello Bob. Okay, that particular message you can send or receive, you call it to be a datagram packet. Now, the datagram packet, please have the syntax down. You will have 4 arguments. You will have 4 arguments. The first argument will be something called byte array. Byte array. You will be transporting things as byte array. The second will be the length. The length of the array. The next is the INET address, the IP. The IP to which you have to transport it. And the fourth one is the port address. The fourth one will be the port address, which will be an integer. So please have the syntax of a datagram packet. Once you have the syntax, let me know. വ്യത്യാസം പിടികിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടോ രണ്ടും? Datagram packet is the actual data you need to send or receive. Okay, your sending of the datagram packets, it will happen through your datagram socket. Okay, the sending and the receiving process will happen through the datagram socket. I'll just go in a single line once again. Sending and receiving of a datagram packet happens through a datagram socket. So we'll continue. We'll quickly see the methods of datagram socket. There are lots of methods: datagram socket, bind, connect. Okay, binding is nothing but you make a relationship between an address and a port number. Connect, you will connect it. Disconnect, you will disconnect it. Is bound means is the socket a bound one or a not bound one? Is connected, whether you are connected or not. Get INET address to return the IP address. To return the port, you have get port. To get a remote address, to get a local address, you have methods. The most important methods of datagram socket are the send method and the receive method. We will be using all of these, but the most important, as I told you earlier, to send and receive your packets are the send method and the receive method. Similarly, even in packets, we do have a few methods. Get address, to get the IP address, to get the port number, you have get port. To get data, we have get data. Then you remember we had lots of arguments over here, the length, the port, the address, the data. You even have an optional thing called offset. All these can be retrieved. That is why, get address, get port, get data, get offset, get length, okay, set data, set address, set port. All these are methods which we will be using in a datagram packet. Okay, mostly the ones which we will be using are get data. Get data. Okay, so next class we will see how we will be implementing UDP program.